I think a lot, GS, we were talking about is established from the beginning of a relationship, but of course can evolve over time. And I had no idea as an independent woman how much I craved to be held, how much I craved safety, that the core part of who I am as a being, as a woman, is the need to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a conference once and they gave an example of how a woman walks around every day looking out for her safety in a way that a man doesn't even recognize or realize that we're having to do. And the perfect example is when we walk into a parking lot. A man can just walk in and go to the car, and I am always like looking around and darting for the door, because there is always a sense of a little bit of insecurity there.
Yeah.
And it's just societally, it's physically, it's all of that. And so when you're paired with the right person and they can give you an overall sense of being safe, it's huge. It's everything. And that's kind of what we're screaming for in a lot of our conversations as a woman to a man in a
Yeah, two things you said really came that popped up for me. So one is that you guys have a sense of physical danger. Even though we live in a civilized society, you have this sense of a physical danger, which I don't know, I'm imagining can in some ways keep you on edge, at least when you're out in the world and maybe in exposed situations. And that you're right, that's something that men, we tend to forget is real.
Well, GS, you talk a lot about safety in your book. I think that's the third element of the blueprint, right? And
Yes.
so safety and trust kind of go together. So I'm going to give you an example that happened a long time ago. But so we're in the streets of Argentina, and it was a wonderful thing to be able to do that. And we're shopping, and we're with a small group of friends. And my husband's actually very observant. I'm not observant, especially when I go somewhere and I'm having fun. I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. And so I'm in the moment. I'm looking at all these little treasures in the street.
Feminine. Feminine.
He's like, hey, we got to get going. It's starting to look like it's getting dangerous here. Oh, okay, sure. And we're just still walking. And so I'm like, I'm heading in the direction that he's asking me to go, but things are catching my eye along the way. And so we're just kind of flooding around and having fun. And then all of a sudden he goes, someone just got stabbed over there. I told you it's dangerous and we had to go. And then he took off.
Yeah.
He just left. He just left me standing in the middle of the street. And now I realize that there's extreme danger. Now I realize that I could be harmed, and my protector is a block away.
Yeah.
I have never felt more vulnerable. That was, of course, a long time ago, and we've learned a lot. But those moments etch into you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even however many years later the story is, like, I mean, you're feeling it in the moment. I can totally feel you re-experiencing that, the fear you were probably feeling at that time. Yeah, this is a great example, Roya, both from the way you set it up, but also the example itself. And so I'd like to kind of turn it over a little bit. I don't know your husband, so everything I'm saying is not really about him. It's more the archetypal. But there is a tendency for men to have, they think they're leading, but it's kind of weak leadership. So, somebody who's saying, hey, we got to go, but not really getting the attention of his feminine partner. And then when this generic feminine partner doesn't listen, like, we can take that as kind of, it hurts. We go into a hurt response, like, look, she's not listening to me, I'm hurt. And then we go into kind of our anger portion, which it's my interpretation of your story. It's like there was like, first he's hurt that you're not listening. And then when it all goes down, he's kind of angry and sort of is punishing you a little bit by taking off. And again, I don't know if that fits your story. It doesn't matter. It's more the archetypal.
Yeah.
So the question, I know the men who are listening to us, Roya, they're thinking, okay, well, how are we supposed to handle this? Am I supposed to be the big tough guy in the streets? And it's like, no. Don't go to the dramatic portions of this. The first thing I think that this, archetypal man in the story would do is he needs to get his woman's attention. If you're feeling danger, guys, don't just whisper it to her or give a mild suggestion. You need to stand in front of her You know, if she's not even looking at you, gently grab her cheeks and say, baby, look at me. We got to go now. Give me your hand. I'm going to go this way. And so it's you got to give very clear direction. So if you're going to lead, if you're going to be the protector in times like this, you know, you've really got to tune in, get her attention, and show clarity around a very specific direction. And if she's, like Roya was describing, kind of being in her feminine, looking around and not paying attention to you, that's not her fault. That's yours. That is on your shoulders if you want to take on this role of masculine leader. Now, if you don't, great, you don't have to do that, but you're going to get the results of a lack of long-term trust with your woman, which will then have its own impact of closing her, again, her body, her heart, and her mind to you. So I don't know, Roya, that's what comes up for me.
On, G.S. It was almost a visceral reaction for me. You just describing to take her face and to ask her to pay attention and look. I mean, I would just melt. Yes, whatever you want to do. I mean, that's the reaction I viscerally had immediately.
Yeah, yeah, I love hearing that.